Alright everyone, welcome to the third and final part of Ask the King episode 48 for January 29th, 2015. Thank you for being here, and let's get to the conclusion, shall we? The first question, well actually we're getting to the end of the questions here, is from Sweet Poppy Sanchez, and I think it's more of a criticism than anything else, but let's get into it because I actually wanted to clarify this. He says, Phil, what is the point of you telling viewers to ask many, many questions for Ask the King when you end up only answering 10 to 15 out of the 100 of them? Maybe you could get through more of these questions if you were just answering the question without giving the full backstory and venting about the subject that is not related to the question. Well, first of all, I disagree. I think that if I didn't give backstory to a lot of the questions, people would not understand the context. Just because you might know the full context of the reason you're asking me something doesn't mean that the common viewer who's just walking in to watch the Ask the King show would understand that context, okay? So, that's number one. Number two, why do I ask people to ask so many questions if I only ask 10 to 15 of them? Well, I've said this before and I'll say it again. The more questions you ask, the better that I have to pull from to pick, say, those 15 to 20 great questions that I think that I can answer intelligently, legitimately, and with an entertainment factor here on the show. If I only had a few questions to answer, well, you're going to play this game? Yes. Phil, do you like Nintendo? Yes. Phil, what's your favorite food? I don't even have one, but pizza. Okay, that's it for Ask the King. See you guys later. You know what I mean? That's why I like to have over 150 questions posted and stuff on Twitter and Facebook so we can get the best show possible. That's why I do it. I thought it was pretty self-explanatory. I guess not, so I hope that explained for you guys, okay? Next question is from Game Guru 94. All right, and the question is, hey, Phil, what are your thoughts on Nintendo's Creators Program? Oh, boy, this is a big controversial topic right now. I remember when you addressed the Content ID controversy, you said that publishers should at the very least share the revenue with the content creator. Many companies have backed off on Content ID, but Nintendo remains stubborn. Does this program change your views on Content ID? First of all, what is he talking about? Well, as of late 2013, Nintendo has now decided to claim almost every single Nintendo-related video ever uploaded to YouTube. I myself was a victim of this before I was put under the protective umbrella of Machinima. And basically, I was made a Machinima managed partner, which means that they trust me to not do illegal things with the video game footage that I make, and therefore they're kind of protecting me under their blanket so that if someone like Nintendo tries to claim my content, they say, no, 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 it's not yours. But for the most part, it's very few people on YouTube who are considered managed partners. And unfortunately, what happened was when Nintendo pulled the trigger in December of 2013, so many people, I mean, we're talking thousands upon thousands of people with hundreds of videos each got affected where their playthroughs were claimed by Nintendo. Basically, Nintendo saying, we don't care if this is a Let's Play where you played the game and your commentary, your gameplay, your capture equipment, and all that factored into it. We're claiming 100% profit for your video because we feel this is ours. And YouTube bent over like a bitch and took it up the ass and said, okay, we'll do this. Ridiculous, right? Now, keep in mind, never has it ever gone to court where someone who made a video on YouTube and got a content claim sued them and got it disputed or cleared up that a Let's Play is the owner owned by the creator? Is it owned by the game publisher? Is it owned by the game developer? Who actually owns the rights to Let's Play or playthrough footage? No one knows because it's never been hashed out in court. So at that point, lots of YouTubers threw up their hands and said, what the fuck are we going to do? So Nintendo announced this new contract, all right? And this contract was that, we're going to now allow you to make gameplay videos of Nintendo games, and you'll still make money. What we're going to do, we're going to have a 60-40 split so that the uploader makes 60% of the ad revenue on the game, and Nintendo makes 40% of the ad revenue. So I just want to reiterate this. When you buy a Nintendo game, you are purchasing a contract to play that Nintendo game, whether it's $60 or however expensive that game is. You've already paid Nintendo. Now Nintendo, on the back end, wants to say, well, if you do anything with that game you've already purchased, we want more money if you make money on it. Okay? What the fuck? Now, as he says here in his question, after December of 2013, there was all this controversy, all the YouTubers went nuts, and basically 99% of game companies took a step back and said, whoops, this is not what we want. This is YouTube turning a switch. All right, this is not what we want. Nintendo's the opposite. Nintendo stood up and said, well, all of our first-party games are part of our Nintendo brand, and we want to make sure that gamers aren't misrepresenting what Nintendo is all about. In fact, every video that's put on YouTube of anything Nintendo-related is considered PR for our company, and we want to make sure that there's no misrepresentation or skewing. That's why we claim every single Nintendo-related video that you put on YouTube. Now, again, I want to express here, I'm protected right now. This could change in the future, but I'm protected from this because I'm under the guise of a machinima managed partner, and I'm protected. 99% of people who make gameplay videos are not protected, including huge YouTubers like Angry Joe, like Zach Scott Games, like all these people who regularly do Nintendo footage, and by the way, make tons more tons more views than I do, are all fucked. They can't make Nintendo content. They can't make any profit on it unless they get into this new agreement with Nintendo where they make a 60-40 split on ad revenue, all right? Why are people up in arms about this, okay? Number one, because it says in this new contract that Nintendo can change that at any time. So if Nintendo has record losses again in the year of 2014 when they get through their financials, they could say, oh, well, we changed that to 30-70. Fuck you, we take 70% now. And the uploader has no ability to dispute it or do anything about it. They're just fucked out of money. That's number one. Number two, Nintendo has a review period for videos that are uploaded to this program. So if you have, a playthrough of, a perfect example here would be upcoming Zelda Majora's Mask 3DS, okay? This game's coming out in a few weeks, and yes, I'll be playing it. You upload those videos. If you're in the Nintendo Partner Program, they now go to a review process, which per the contract says could take up to 3 days for someone to review that video and approve it to go live on YouTube with ads on it, okay? 3 days, so if someone reviews a game, they have to wait 3 days for that gameplay to go up. And now this opens up a whole new can of worms, a whole new slippery slope. What if Nintendo watches a review of this game and the review's negative and they say, well, we don't like that this guy's painting this in a negative light. Keep in mind, Reggie Fils-Aime, or whatever the hell his name is, Fils-Aime, said that every video that comes out is basically PR for Nintendo, and he thinks a negative review is not anti-PR, so we're not going to approve this one for the program, and you can't upload it or you get no money for it. What the fuck? Like, that's the most anti-consumer thing I've ever heard. That's 100% anti-consumer. The consumer already paid Nintendo for the use of the game. I could see if the consumer stole the fucking game, or if this was a game that Nintendo was giving out for free, the consumer up front initiated a purchase contract with Nintendo by paying money to play the game. Fuck Nintendo for thinking they now have absolutely universal use of anything you do with this. What if you went to Home Depot and you paid them for the wood to build your house? But if then you go and you use that wood to build something that the Home Depot Corporation doesn't approve of, they come and say, well, no, you can't do that. Or they say, well, you built a building that's a business with our wood, and you couldn't have done that if it wasn't for our wood. And since we own the rights to that wood, well, anyone who walks in your door and buys something from your business, we get a cut of that because that's our wood that's used in there. What? And the only reason that Nintendo thinks they have a leg to stand on is because they claim video games are a new interactive medium that we hold the intellectual property rights to, and it's never gone to court for a court to call out bullshit. They paid you already. You can't double dip to the consumer, which is what this is. It's double dipping the consumer. So, Nintendo is absolutely in the wrong here. They're greedy because right now they're losing money. That's my opinion. I think they're being incredibly greedy because they're losing fucking money. The fact that they have an open-ended contract that they could change at any time is incredibly anti-consumer, anti-gamer, and the bottom line is they're in dire straits. I talked about this several times over the past couple of years. Nintendo is in dire straits. They're bleeding hundreds of millions of dollars a year, losing money. They can't continue to operate like that, and they're trying to find a way to catch up. Now, the Wii U had a great season this past year. If you didn't hear, the Wii U had a great holiday season. Everyone bought the Wii U. A lot of games sold. So hopefully Nintendo made a little bit of money there. But if Nintendo becomes this anti-gamer company, why the fuck would anyone support them anymore? Again, major YouTubers who are supporting and trying to show Nintendo gameplay in positive light are getting fucked by Nintendo because Nintendo is greedy because they fucked their own company up through bad management decisions. How is that our fault? We're the ones who were still there supporting you. We're advertising your games for free, doing fucking gameplay and reviews and shit, and you fuck us? No, fuck you. How about all the major management that were involved in your company get a $1 fucking salary for the next year to make up for the money you lost because you're a bunch of fucking hack idiots? Don't punish the people who've kept your company alive. Punish your fucking dumb selves. So it makes no sense. It's absolutely anti-consumer. It's bullshit, and people should be up in arms about it. If you are a person who's not a managed partner like me, and lucky enough to be, because I'm exception to the rule, you should be up in arms about it. If you're part of this new Nintendo partnership program, 60-40 split, that's not so bad. Keep in mind that ads on YouTube don't bring in a lot of money. 60% of that is even less, and Nintendo could change that at any point, and they might not even approve your video to go live ever. It's nonsense, and I'm just so tired of it. Someone's eventually going to take these motherfuckers to court. It's just a matter of time. All right. The next question is from Mike000, and he says, maybe this would be better suited in a separate vlog, but I was wondering if you could tell us about your afterthoughts on moving into your home with Leanna. Is there anything that you feel hasn't lived up to expectations since you've lived in Seattle? Anything that you might have done differently in hindsight? Maybe something that ended up being better than you expected? I'm currently planning on moving out with my girlfriend within the next year as well, and any insight you might have that would be great. For the most part, I'd say it's probably about an 80-20 split. 80% of what we're experiencing was completely expected, whether it's good or bad. 20% maybe expected things. I fully expected I was going to be up to my neck in debt doing this, and I am, all right? On the flip side, I fully expected that prices would be cheaper out here, that I'd be able to do better quality videos if I did this, which I can now, that the climate would be much better with it, which it is. This past week back on the east where I would have been living if I didn't move, they had the blizzard of the century or whatever, everyone buried in like a foot of snow, and apparently it wasn't as bad as they said it was going to be, but I would be digging myself out, and more than likely I'd be stuck at home right now if I lived on the East Coast because I couldn't dig my car out because of my back injury. Here, we had 50-degree weather, sunny skies, beautiful. So lots of positives in that regard. On the flip side, negatives. Just like I expected, there's problems with the house. Our toilet was busted. We had leaky roofs. We had things that we found out that the previous sellers lied to us about and didn't do, which they promised they were going to do, and that they didn't do good upkeep on the house. So it's a pretty interesting balance. One of the best things about moving here has been my diet and I think my overall health when it comes to diet, because Leanna has proven to be an excellent cook. And keep in mind, she didn't used to cook that much when she lived with her mom. She's made all these great dishes. We've got about 3 dozen dishes that we're constantly rotating between pork, chicken, red meat, burgers, hot dogs, pastas, vegetables with salads. She's got all these seafood. She makes shrimp dishes. She makes all these awesome dishes, a lot of which I've highlighted on my vlogging channel those first few months that we lived here, that are just so good, and they're so much better for my diet. I used to go out many times a week getting fast food or something quickly from a store simply because it was the quickest option for me to get right back into streaming or working for that day. Now I have the time because she makes the food. She's making it right now. She's making us a nice big pot of pasta with my homemade sauce. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to get downstairs and eat dinner, and it's taken the calories right off me. Like, I've lost a ton of weight. I started out at 240 pounds. I'm down to about 190 to 200. I kind of fluctuate between that right now, depending on what's going on with me. But I've lost a ton of weight, and I feel better than I had before. My back, so much better. And I didn't know that. That was one of the unexpected things. My back, so much better. All right. A few things we haven't figured out yet. Cleaning schedule. Usually if we see shit all over the floor, like, oh God, the floor's dusty, there's hair all over the floor, there's fuzz all over, we got to vacuum. It's not like we have a set schedule where we do that. One of the most difficult things is time management. And this is what he says, what are things that were unexpected? Time management is out of control for me right now. Because literally every moment of my waking time, I'm busy. Whether I wake up immediately, let me go downstairs quickly, have a glass of grapefruit juice for breakfast, and relax for maybe a half hour so I can have a cup of coffee before I start my day. Immediately, I'm into live streaming, then I'm uploading the videos, I'm eating dinner, I'm cleaning up from dinner, I'm right back to more live streaming or working on videos, I'm uploading videos and monitoring social media all night, then I finally get an hour or two to relax before I go back to sleep, and I do it all over again. And next thing you know, it's 4 weeks have passed. I'm like, what the fuck happened? Where'd the time go? I feel like I just moved here. I do. I literally feel like I just moved here, yet I've been here since June of last year. It's like, what happened? Like, the time is flying by now because I now have all these new responsibilities. I got to pay all the bills, all these finances I have to now manage and maintain because of all the debt that I accumulated moving here, living with Leanna, and us having enough time, at least once a night having a few hours to spend together watching something or talking or dealing with business-related issues. Once a week at least going out and doing something like going out to dinner or going out shopping or doing something together so we have some kind of a personal interaction that's not a busy day with gaming all day. It's a lot. And it's funny because some people would say, oh, all he does is play games all day. That's not even the half of it. It's become so busy for me since I moved out here. And a lot different than it used to be when I just lived solo in Connecticut, especially living with someone else, and now I have to make sure that she's taken care of and that we have all her concerns too. Even though everything you see here on my channels is related to me, keep in mind she's got her own stuff going on, her own healthcare, her own business that she's working on getting up and running, and I have to do constant support and stuff to try to help her get that stuff going too. It's a lot. So if you do move in with a significant other, understand that. It's going to be a huge increase in responsibility. It's going to be a huge jump when it comes to this kind of stuff. And it's going to basically take up a shitload of your time. A lot of the time that I used to spend privately watching a movie or privately doing stuff. I'll be honest, there's entire TV series that I was watching that aren't Leanna's cup of tea that I've dropped because I don't have time to watch them by myself. So that's it. They're done. It has to be the stuff we watch has to be stuff that we both like, or else that's my free time, right? That's pretty much one of the things that's happened. All right. I hope that thoroughly answered your question. We've only got a small handful left, so let's go to it. Okay. Oh, we're done. That's it for you. That's it for the forum questions. We're now going to head to two general questions. Okay, two very general questions that a lot of people ask, and then we're going to have a very small amount of Twitter questions, and we're done. All right? So, general questions. The Royal Rumble happened last week on Sunday. And much like the 2014 Royal Rumble, the 2015 Royal Rumble was rife with controversy and very disgruntled fans, to the point where so many fans were upset with the outcome of the Royal Rumble that they flocked to Twitter and social media with the hashtag cancel WWE Network. It became a trend where so many people tried to cancel the WWE Network after the Royal Rumble that the cancellation page crashed. Okay? What prompted this? Well, it's very simple. Roman Reigns, who is still considered green by most people who watch pro wrestling, won the Royal Rumble and is going to WrestleMania to face Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight title. Many people are very upset about this because he's only been on the main show of the company for about 2 years now, while there's many up-and-comers such as Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, who was cheated out of holding the title last year because of a legit real-life injury, Bray Wyatt, who's been up-and-coming for a couple years now. There's basically 4 or 5 people Dean Ambrose is another one, who people feel are better in the ring, better on the mic, and better suited for a main event position than Roman Reigns. And a lot of people feel that the only reason that Roman Reigns is being pushed by WWE is because Vince McMahon has this fucking fetish for big, burly guys, right, who have a certain look, and Roman Reigns fits his look, and nothing logical fits into the decision. It's just that Vince McMahon owns WWE, and he stupidly does what he wants to do because he owns it. So this prompted all this controversy. How dare he? They even had the audacity to bring out The Rock, who wasn't scheduled to be on the show and had nothing to do with the Royal Rumble. The Rock came out at the end to basically help Roman Reigns so that he didn't get eliminated from the Rumble. And The Rock, if people don't know, is actually related to Roman Reigns, so this was kind of controversy. Oh, sure, calling The Rock, he's related. Of course, he'll do it. And the fans revolted. They booed the hell out of the Royal Rumble and said, fuck this pay-per-view, fuck WWE. So, on the heels of all that happening, people wanted to know, what are my overall thoughts about the Royal Rumble? I think that the Royal Rumble this year, was the outcome stupid? Of course. But I hate to say it, I've become jaded at this point. I don't expect anything great from the WWE. I think that the things that have become successes in the past few years, such as the popularity of CM Punk, the popularity of Daniel Bryan's Yes Movement, were because of things the wrestlers did, not because of things WWE did. And most of the time, the WWE purposely fucks it up because they feel resentment that they didn't create that, right? Daniel Bryan's Yes Movement was made by him, and then the WWE made it into something that they claimed was theirs later on. CM Punk's outspoken attitude about things, they made that into his on-air character, even though that was really him off the air. How about freaking Zack Ryder and the whole Internet Championship thing that took off, and then the WWE squashed it within a year and a half, right? These are things that took off of their own accord, and WWE eventually got rid of them. I think WWE has a real bug up its ass that if someone makes something of themselves and it wasn't their plan, all right? So, here's the deal, alright? Here's the deal. I'm not as upset as most other people. Because I really think last year was the worst possible scenario. Batista, who hadn't been with the company for years, who couldn't wrestle well anymore because he was so old and worn out and wasn't ring ready, comes back to the WWE, announces he's in the Royal Rumble for no fucking reason whatsoever, and wins it in main events WrestleMania. He didn't deserve it. He only came back. For some reason, WWE thought that he was going to be a crowd attraction. That's why they brought him back. And he was booed out of the building for several months to the point where it was so bad that WWE had to completely rewrite WrestleMania to make it a triple threat match and allow Daniel Bryan to win. So now you fast forward to this year. I think this is a different situation. At the least, Roman Reigns is trying. He's not some hack coming in to take a paycheck. He's trying to be better. He's trying to get better. I think his in-ring work has improved, although most people are saying it hasn't. I think it has actually improved. People say he sucks on the mic because WWE gives him shit to say. They gave him a shitty Jack and the Beanstalk promo like 2.5 weeks ago. That was a joke. It sounds like a 4-year-old wrote it. Of course it sounded stupid because they told him to say it and he's had to say something stupid. How do you blame him for that? So, am I upset? Yeah. Should Daniel Bryan have won? Should Dean Ambrose? Yeah, there's many other people who could have had that spot and should be in the main event of WrestleMania. But Vince is who he is. He will do what he wants to do. He wants to take credit that he created Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns will now be the new main eventer, and it may backfire. People may boo the fuck out of Roman Reigns, and it's not his fault. He doesn't deserve that kind of negativity, and especially if his career completely flip-flops because of this, he doesn't deserve it. But at the same time, is there legit reason for people to be upset? Of course. And it's interesting because 10, 20 years ago, you never had this kind of reaction. Now you have the internet. You have people like me who know shit behind the scenes and share it with everyone. And now people know the truth behind pro wrestling and they're all up in arms. 10, 15 years ago, people would have loved if Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble. That's my opinion. So, alright, that's my opinion on the Royal Rumble. Did I dislike it? Yes, but I'm not so up in arms like everyone else, and a lot of people I think disagree with me. I know Vince, I know how Vince thinks, and I'm not surprised that it happened, which is probably why I'm not as up in arms as everyone else, alright? Ghostbusters 3, ladies and gentlemen. Let's very, very quickly talk about this. Ghostbusters 3 has been formally announced. And it's nothing like what it originally was. I talked about Ghostbusters 3 as early as like 2009, I think. Back at a show like this I was talking about. People asked me about, would you like to see a new Ghostbusters movie? It originally started as a project that was going to include the original cast of Ghostbusters. Ivan Reitman, who was the writer/director along with the Ghostbusters. Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, who wrote the original. They were all going to be part of the creative team behind it, and they were going to make Ghostbusters 3. It never happened. Bill Murray verbally came out and said, I don't want to be part of it. I think the original 2 movies stand for themselves. I hate these franchises that come back as a cheap cash-in, and I don't want to be part of it. The idea still progressed, but eventually died when last year, unfortunately, Harold Ramis passed away. When Harold Ramis passed away, Ivan Reitman said, I will no longer want anything to do with this project because he was kind of the heart and soul of the Ghostbusters and the writing staff behind it, and it will not be anything that it will be without him, so that's it. So guess what happened? Let's sell the rights to Ghostbusters, right? Let's have other people, not Ivan Reitman, not the original people who wanted to do it and make it something great. Let's give it to completely new people who know nothing about it, probably won't care about the original spirit of the movies, and let's reboot it. So it's not Ghostbusters 3 anymore. It's just going to be called Ghostbusters, starring an all-female cast of comedians, alright? And apparently it's going to be completely different from the original movies. It's just going to be called Ghostbusters. So, can we reinforce any more the unoriginality of the hacks that are in charge of fucking Hollywood right now? Right? Something that was going to be the continuation of one of the most tried and true respected comedy series in American cinematography of the past half century, and we're just going to drop that idea and reboot it as something completely different, but call it Ghostbusters just so we can say it's Ghostbusters and people will go see it. So who's going to... It already has been confirmed. The cast is confirmed. 2 of the new Ghostbusters, Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy. Kristen Wiig, I'll be honest. I saw her on Saturday Night Live. Some of her work I liked, some of her work I didn't. I've seen her in several movies. Again, some of her work I liked, some of her work I didn't. I think dependent on the writing, she can be brilliant or she can suck. I've never laughed at a single thing Melissa McCarthy has done. And I've probably seen 3 to 4 movies she's been in, giving her multiple chances to be funny or do something to entertain me, and I've never cracked a smile. I saw that whole movie Identity Thief. I hated her character and her role. I didn't think anything she did was even made me laugh at all. I saw her in Bridesmaids. I just don't get it. Now, maybe it's because I'm a dude and I come from a different culture and a different background and a different comedy style that I don't get her. Maybe that's it. But Ghostbusters, let's think about this. The premise of Ghostbusters is that it was supposed to be 4 guys who were kind of like into fringe supernatural stuff. They were kind of shysters. They were kind of con artists to a point, and they tried to basically commercialize something supernatural. It was tongue-in-cheek comedy. There was a perversion character with almost like a what do you call it? Almost like a game show host character with Peter Venkman. It had its own charm. This is going to be completely different because those characters will be lost. You're starting from scratch. You're making a completely new story and lore with these new actresses. And what the fuck? Like, who wanted that? Who said, I want a new Ghostbusters completely started from scratch with completely different characters, with none of the comedy, a new writing team? Who said that? For years, we wanted the original to come back. So, what the fuck? And this is what I mean. So, let's see. We already fucked up Transformers. We already fucked up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We fucked up G.I. Joe. We fucked up every possible franchise. Now we gotta fuck with the Ghostbusters. Here's what I say to this reboot. Fuck you. I'm not gonna watch it. I say treat it exactly the same way that we treated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all these other shitty Transformers movies. If the Chinese and the international audience find them funny and want to watch this shit, let them continue to watch it. I say ban it here in the United States. Don't fucking watch it. If you have an intelligent brain in your fucking head, you know that this is being done for money and not for the love of it and not because it's something genuinely funny and not because they want to do something artistic. They're using the past as a propeller to make their shit look better. If the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that came out this past year, if it wasn't called TMNT, no one would have fucking went to see it. If it was flying combat puncher lizards, who the fuck would have went to see that? Because it's a stupid fucking movie. It looks terrible. It is terrible. But people went to see it because it had TMNT slapped on it. So fuck that shit. This new Ghostbusters movie, unless there's a complete flip, and I start seeing footage and I hear the writing and wow, this writing is pretty funny. It's kind of similar to the sarcastic style that it used to be, and it's in the spirit of the original Ghostbusters. It may happen. It probably won't. If it doesn't, pan that fucking piece of shit and tell Hollywood, stop it. We want original content, not you destroying the things of our youth that are held in high regard because you want to get name recognition and try to make an extra buck and trick people into the theaters to see your shit. Okay, there we go. All right. 4 quick questions from Twitter, and then we're all... 3 quick questions from Twitter, and then we're all set. First question from Traditional Games. He says, Achievement Hunter is doing Let's Plays live on stage like a concert while traveling. Could this be the future of Let's Plays? 2 things to say about this. Number 1, I had this idea 5 years ago. I shit you not. When I first started on YouTube and I started to see popularity, and my dad actually said to me, do you think you could ever turn what you do on YouTube into a money-making venture? My idea wasn't do it on YouTube and put ads on videos. My idea was I could travel a circuit of gaming conventions and say, do it live with DSP. DSP does a fun playthrough live on stage when everyone can laugh and react live to what he's doing, and he'll rage if he fucks up, and he'll do... This was my idea 5+ years ago, and this is something that I actually was planning to do when I started touring the gaming convention circuit. If you remember MagFest, and we went to 3 conventions. What was the other one? The one in Philadelphia. Too Many Games, and then of course Screw Attack Gaming Convention. My idea was that hopefully I could get into the convention circuit where I had a stable audience where maybe I could say, okay, I want to rent out a room and this is what I'll do. Unfortunately, I didn't have the money, I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the PR, and I didn't have the clout to get that popular enough to be able to do that. And after a few conventions, it fizzled out to the point where conventions weren't even putting me on as being able to have a panel or anything anymore. And I said, well, I guess that's it, right? And it's unfortunate because there was years ago, you can even ask John about this. John Rambo and I at one point, and this was when I was obviously at the height of my popularity, we're talking about would one day we want to do our own thing? Why don't we throw our own convention where we have me doing live gameplay, live cooperative gameplay with John Rambo and others getting involved. Then John, because he's a musician, he could play with other musicians and do like a concert. We could have a gaming convention with vendors on the floor all selling gaming related merch and stuff like that, similar to say a MagFest. We all thought about that years and years ago. But it just didn't happen. You know, it just didn't happen because, let's face it, I didn't make enough money. I didn't get popular. Even at the height of my popularity, it wasn't enough to support something like that. And because I've always been, I really feel the one major contributing factor to everything and the reason that I am where I am today is because I'm one man. I didn't have a team of people to help me. I didn't have money to hire a manager to work the stuff that I said on social media or the stuff that I did in my content. I've always been my own self-made person, and because of that, there's limitations. So I never had the means to go out and have PR to these people at these convention scenes and see, gee, can I eventually expand to make my own website that makes money like Screw Attack did? They became incredibly profitable once they made their own website and started doing their own stuff. And I've never had that, and I never will. Unless I win the fucking lotto tomorrow, right? I'll never will have that kind of capability. And it's a shame because I see now people out there doing things and starting up ideas that I wanted to do and I never was able to do. And this is one of them. I swear to you, I'm not making this up. This was an idea I had years and years ago that never came to fruition. All right. Now, the other half of this, which is the reason why I actually never really went into it, is because I don't know if you guys know this, but by law, if you actually read the bylines of video games, it says that you cannot publicly display a video game. Now, of course, many people will argue with that and say, well, that doesn't include Let's Plays, or that might not, because how could Let's Plays even exist if you can't publicly display a video game? The internet is public, right? So it would need to go to court and be hashed out in court definitively that Let's Plays are a transformative work and protected and not owned or copyright stricken by another company in order for an idea like this to happen. So how the hell Achievement Hunter thinks that they're going to do this and there's not the power of some company to immediately say, no, we forbid you to play our game at your event? I have no idea. Maybe they have a lawyer team. Maybe they have more clout than me. I know for a fact they're insanely huge on YouTube, and they probably make about 40 times more money than I do, so they probably have the resources and the amount of people to look into it and do it. That's one of the reasons why I never looked into it. Okay. All right, next question. This one is from Guy Scrub. He says, what are your thoughts on criticism? Do you think that it can improve someone for the better or that it is pointless? I mean, that's a silly question to ask. Yes, criticism can both be your life's blood and your savior, and it could also be your absolute bane and your downfall, and it all depends on the kind of criticism, the context of the criticism, and also how the criticism is received. Positive criticism that's meant to be constructive can actually be received well, and it can actually help to improve a product, or it can be received poorly and ignored and can force a product to become stagnant and or worse over time, all right? Negative and nasty criticism meant only for the reason, not for the previous person to improve, but to call out someone's faults, to deride them, to make them look bad, can become incredibly damaging to a person or business, which obviously I know fucking firsthand from all the shit that's happened to me in the past several years. So it all depends. That's too broad of a question for us to even properly address in an Ask the King like that. That would have to be like a special where we have a whole segment talking about different kinds of criticism and how to, react to it. And I'll be honest, I've very, very much so reacted positively to some criticism over the years and negatively to other criticism. There's some criticism that I probably should have listened to, and there's some criticism that I probably shouldn't have listened to. I can tell you right now definitively there's a couple people that I directly listened to who I thought knew better than me, and it fucked me in the ass. There's other people who I didn't listen to who I thought didn't know what they were talking about, and that was a bad choice because it would have helped me. On the flip side of that, there's many positive changes and things that have happened with myself and my business and my content in the past few years, including the adoption of direct capture and live streaming, which were direct reactions from the fans. The fact that I do fan montages of art and stuff like that and music playing in it for gameplay, direct, feedback from the fans. The games that I play a lot of the time, direct feedback from the fans. You should be playing this, not this. That's the kind of stuff that I love. So over the years, I've run the whole gamut. And overall, I welcome criticism, but I hope that people understand that it has to be legit and it has to be positive meaning. The reason that I shut off criticism when I do is because a lot of the times it's either mean-spirited or it doesn't help. Telling me that my business is outdated and I need to change isn't constructive criticism. What that is just making an observation that I already know. The answer is, how do I survive? Do I completely change who I am as a person in a business, which I don't want to do? Do I tweak things here or there? Is there something that I can do to spin things in a more positive light? And the problem is there's no consensus. And this is what everyone seems to agree that Phil needs to listen to criticism and he could really help his business if he did, but there's no consensus on what the thing is that can be done to change, and that's the fucking problem, all right? And that's what people don't understand. It's easy to gang up on someone and say they need to change, but actually finding the things that definitively need to change, that's the thing that's harder, and that's what a lot of people don't want to hear. They just want to say someone doesn't listen to change or is resistant to criticism and change, rather than realizing there is no magic fucking solution to the problems of life. So there you have it. That's a very generalized answer to the question. Later on, maybe we'll address it more specifically, but that's the general answer, okay? And now the final answer, or the final question. Phil, when will you start the movie show? Can you do a segment for just movie questions and call it maybe like the King of Cinema? And that is from Devontae Brown. I've talked about this in months seriously recently, and I've talked about the fact that I really love movies. I have probably just as much of a passion for movies as I do for video games, and that I would really like to do something about movies in the future. That's coming. In fact, I'm hoping to do and start that series by the end of February. I'd like to maybe do that every other week or maybe once a week, grab a movie and talk about it and start this new series. It's something that I think would be easy to do, but would take a little bit of extra work. I need names. Like King of Cinema sounds pretty good. Maybe at the movies with the King. King's Cinema, King. I don't know. Give me more ideas for the name of the series, and probably you'll hear more about that in February, okay? All right. Whew. That is it, everyone. That was a lot of questions. This has been an extra long episode. I apologize that I started late, and that's why the episode ran late. But I think overall it's been a great one. I want to thank you whether you watched this Ask the King live on stream or on YouTube. Please spread the word that Ask the King is back now on a monthly basis. As I said at the beginning, there already is a thread on the King of Hate website where you can post up your questions for next month's episode. That is it. Thanks, everybody. Peace out. Phew. I'm sweaty. Look at my hair. See you later. I'll see you next month for another episode of Ask the King. Keep those good questions coming, and I'll see you then.